side. Here we are. Welcome to Muscle Science for Women. We're almost done. 2025, guys. We are almost there. We're so close. We did it. Almost. We almost made it.
Okay,
Whew.
so I saw something this morning on
Yeah.
Instagram, and it was like, if I had to choose between having to fight a grizzly bear every morning at 6 a.m. versus going through 2025 again, what would I choose? And then the meme was like, tell that grizzly bear I'm ready.
Yeah.
But
Listen.
but then I was thinking on a more positive note, I was like, for a second, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'd fight the grizzly bear. But then I was like, no, I would do 2025 again because I feel like I just learned so much. And,
Lessons.
so many lessons, so much growth in different directions. We talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about this all the time. So even though it was the hardest year of my life
Mm-hmm.
thus
Mm-hmm.
far, I would probably not do it over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
There'd
And I
be
mean,
some things that I would bypass a little bit faster than others, but
sure.
you know,
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. I agree. I think it's also the way you kind of have to look at hard things because if you aren't having tough experiences, you are not living. And so you have to look at the tough experiences like, well, I got through that and here we are. Almost at the
yeah,
end. And you're about to go on vacation. I am getting ready to go on vacation in January and things are looking up, right?
yep.
So
We
we
have
can,
lots of plans for the new year for
yeah,
Muscle Science for Women, which we're really
yes,
excited about. We'll share more as
yes.
we get into it.
And we were
But
both just complaining offline about how pumped we are to get out of our respective cold places. I feel like you're even more deep freeze than I am. Like you guys definitely got hit with the like polar vortex, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been like 20 degrees
Yeah.
ish, and it so funny story. I went out on Saturday night with my friends and we went to this DJ concert thing. And we're all like, we're not gonna bring jackets because we don't there's apparently the coat check was really long. So we just like got in the Uber and then we're all just wearing I was wearing like a long sleeve shirt. Didn't bring a jacket, didn't bring anything. We come out of the venue. It was pretty late, like 3 a.m. because the DJ doesn't
Mm-hmm.
go on till 11,
Mm-hmm.
12, I don't know. We come out of the venue and it's literally snowing, just buckets. And we had no idea it was supposed to snow because we didn't look at the weather. So we're literally outside trying to find our Uber in this big crowd. Didn't plan ahead, didn't leave a little bit early, left when the whole crowd left. Everybody's just outside getting plummeted with snow. And I was like, this is it.
Merry
I'm
Christmas
ready
to
for Costa
us.
Rica.
I saw this thing on Instagram that was it relates to me because my birthday's in January and it was like people with winter birthdays and it showed like a bunch of 20 somethings in stiletto heels and tiny outfits like slipping on a
Oh my
snowy
God.
sidewalk and I was like I 100% did that in university. I would wear 3-inch heels and very little clothes and be like I'm not waiting in line at the coat check. Are you nuts? And just wander around like a newly born giraffe on like icy. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're still doing it. I would not like. I don't think I've put on a high heel. I can't remember. I
Oh,
I don't
I
know
don't.
what would make me. Yeah, I don't know what would make me put on that kind of outfit at this point. But it would have to probably involve someone paying me to go somewhere because I can't imagine. But yes, we are getting ready to go somewhere warm, and part of that is for our mental health, and that's a nice little segue into what we're going to talk
Yeah.
about today because we thought we would go into a little bit of a sort of deep dive ish, an overview dive of what to do when the weather turns and it's dark all the time and it's cold all the time. And you suddenly are like, I feel like garbage. What's happening? Probably it's some kind of form of seasonal depression, whether it's mild or, more extreme for you. It's a very common thing for people who live in colder places to feel really crappy in the winter months. And I do feel like it's kind of a thing to just sort of complain about it and joke about it. Maybe that makes you feel better. But as with many things, when it comes to our health, we can be more proactive about stuff like this. We can minimize this issue that can really mess with your quality of life for half the year, depending on where you live. So we thought we'd kind of just like talk about some of the things you can do to combat this sort of seasonal depression issue. And I think maybe just a little caveat here is we're not talking about like clinically diagnosed depression, right? We're not psychiatrists. We're not telling you, what you should do if you have diagnosed depression. We're talking about the very kind of common feeling that most of us get in the wintertime when we're a little bit sad and irritable and a lot of bad things come with it, right? So, take that with a grain of salt, but it's a very common experience. So,
and you've been able to, like, you've been in it for a while.
Most of my life.
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've lived in warm places similar to you because you grew up in New York.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, New York, I don't think is very extreme. Like, there have been winters that have been pretty miserable, but I've said before, I think New York has the perfect climate. For me anyway, because it has all 4 seasons. It gets nice and hot. It rarely gets crazy cold, but you get all 4 seasons. Beautiful. But the difference between summer and winter is pretty extreme. But I've lived in Bermuda. I've lived in like kind of places that never really get very cold. And then I've lived in places that get very cold. Now you have that experience too. And it's different, man. We've had years where we've podcasted and I've been in Ottawa where it's, I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but minus 35 Celsius. And you've been in, crushing it in San Diego. And I'm like, you do not know what I'm going through over here. And you're like, true.
You don't get it.
You do not
get it. And now you're like, haha, you get
it. Exactly. Enjoy the deep freeze, my friend. Anyway, yeah. So most people listening probably, you get it. If you don't, if you are in Costa Rica right now, maybe you can skip this episode. But otherwise, maybe you'll learn something. So,
yeah.
All right. Do you want to dive in, or do you want to say, like, because I know you've been, because this is the first year for you of really kind of dealing with this, I feel like it kind of smacked you in the face a little bit. What have you kind of been doing?
Yeah, I think I kind of got the double whammy with already being a little bit on the lower end of my mental capacity coming here. But I am feeling a lot better these past few weeks. But it comes in waves. And I think the combination of the cold kind of picking up and then being in a lower spot for a few weeks there after I got back from San Diego was tough. And that was tough from lots of different angles. But I talked about this, like sitting with the emotions and sitting with those feelings and not trying to numb them and distract. And part of that, I think I did that pretty well during that time. But part of that was also like, okay, I know I don't want to be depressed and, in this state for more than the period of time that I needed to be to sit through that.
Yeah.
And as it started getting colder and then the time changed and it was dark at 4 p.m. After a few days, I was like, all right, I have to just kind of like force myself to do the things that I know make me feel good. And, one of those things was embracing some of the colder weather, and like the snow came, and just planning time with friends. I think that was a big thing. Like I had a bunch of friends over multiple times and just did like movie night, just hang out, chill and kind of embrace it a little bit. Taking Mia out and watching her run around the snow and seeing her joy made me happy. I did purchase finally one of those lights, the Happy Lamp or Happy Light.
Yep.
I put that on every morning. I come out to my living room and I put it on. I sit on my couch and I've been listening to a meditation for about 10-15 minutes right when I wake up, and then I'll do my morning routine. Like I'll journal a little bit, read my book, and then get into some work stuff. But I have that light on right next to me, and it's super, super bright. We do
talk about that one specifically.
Do you have one?
No, I mean, I think that's a great intro into the official ones we prepped for. But I think one of the things you kind of just briefly mentioned there, that is something that I had not thought about before, but I've been seeing more people talking about this. And it's kind of like a duh sort of thing, but it also is something people don't do. In a similar vein to being proactive and knowing, look, I live in Chicago, I live in Canada, whatever, this is going to happen, prepping for it a little bit. There's also this idea of, and we love this word, we've been saying it a lot lately, surrendering to it a little bit in terms of there's a season, right? Like we try to eat seasonally, we try to whatever, there's a season. We cannot change the fact that it gets dark at 4 p.m. That sucks. We can't change the fact that it's pitch black when we wake up in the morning. We can't change these things. So instead, can you adjust yourself a little bit so that in these months, maybe you go to bed earlier. Maybe you plan more cozy activities instead of being mad that you can't go for a 10K run in a sports bra. Maybe instead you say, look, I'm working out inside more, or I'm going skiing, or, just sort of like going with the flow instead of
Embracing
just
it.
fighting against something that you literally cannot change. Right. So I really like that. But you mentioned also the sad lamp, which for people who don't know, this is bright
Is it
light
the sad
therapy.
lamp or the happy lamp?
Yeah, well, it's for a sad person and hopefully it makes you happy. But this is different than because people talk a lot about red light and stuff, and this is different. They're also called a bright light box or a sad lamp. And it's a full spectrum light that I guess admits I have this written down because I don't have it memorized. I had one myself as well. I don't anymore, but full spectrum light. It's saying 10,000 lux. I don't know what that stands for, but that's
That's
the
like
measurement.
the brightness, I
Right.
believe, or like the type of brightness.
And like the idea is that it mimics outdoor light. So it's not going to be red light. There's probably a lot of blue light, but it's full spectrum. So it's what everybody tells you. Every podcast says go out first thing in the morning and get some sunlight in your eyes. If you cannot do that because you live in a nightmare winter hellscape, use a sat lamp instead. And apparently we know that getting sunlight in the morning helps with your circadian rhythm, which is going to help you sleep. It increases serotonin, which is going to make you feel better. It decreases melatonin in the morning, which is what you want. You don't want a lot of melatonin in the morning. And it just helps get you ready for the day. And if you're stacking that, like you said, with, meditation, or maybe you're doing some reading, or you're doing some stretching or something, that's amazing. So if you have a sad lamp, great.
Can we call it a happy light?
If you have a little happy lamp, okay, maybe you need to create your own and rebrand. If you had a bright light therapy unit, use it. Or, I mean, again, you generally, a lot of places you still can get sunlight in your eyes. And I think a lot of professionals will tell you it doesn't have to be super bright sunlight outside for you to get the vitamin D and for you to get that kind of what you need from it. If you're out there for 15, 20 minutes going for a walk, or whatever it is that you're doing. Right now, it's pretty cold outside here, but it's very sunny. I could definitely be getting what I need from outside. And even if it's a little overcast, it's still better. Being outside is good. So if you don't want to buy something, it's just focusing on trying to get outside and get the light in your eyes. I think
There are some mornings where if it is really gloomy or if it's snowing, I'm not going out. But if it's like a day like today, going out and kind of forcing myself to go on a walk with Mia, not first thing in the morning, but like after I do my routine, I notice on those days when I do get that morning walk, even if it's just 20 minutes around the block, I feel so much better. And it's just, we always talk about this, just like moving your body a little bit. And then especially outside, fresh air. I have my heated jacket on and my heated gloves on.
I love
and
that.
my 3 pairs of socks. And bundle up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never going to be walking outside in the cold. And then I was like, why not? I'll just bundle up. And it's been fine. It was 10 degrees the other day and I was chilling with my heated things on.
Yep.
And it was great.
That's actually another good little mini side one that we don't have written down. And I feel like I've said this on the podcast before, but it falls in line with the surrendering to your environment, is dressing properly, which again, people say like that's like, of course, but people don't actually always do it. And when I moved to Ottawa from New York, so I moved from like normal cold winter to like insane, who can actually live here cold winter. The first winter, I would go outside and like my face would freeze and I'd be like, people actually, how do you actually live in this? How do people live in this? And then I grew up and I was like, oh, they dress properly. And I spent a bunch of money and I brought proper boots and a proper coat and I bundled up properly. And I was like, oh, this is how you do it. Now this is a different thing now. This isn't the world is trying to kill me when I go outside. It's just like dress properly for the environment you're in. So yeah, get people to buy you a proper pair of heated mittens or whatever it is that Rachel's wearing.
Yeah, and also on top of that too, I don't know why I just thought that's a great point. I don't know how it's going to be when it's under 0. I might be changing my mind here, and some of my friends here are like, you haven't even felt it yet. I'm like, I don't want to.
I need to see what the Fahrenheit Celsius conversion is because I need to see what you're actually dealing with here. Hold on, Fahrenheit. You keep talking while I do this.
Well, yeah. Well, you're looking at the other thing too is the foods that you eat, right? Seasonal, and this is something that's helped me too is just a lot more comfort in warm foods, right? So I still have my Ninja Creamy every night, but lately I've been making soup for dinner and having different types of soup. In the morning, I'll have for breakfast, instead of my normal yogurt bowl with frozen fruit, I now put yogurt on top of squash. So I'll heat up squash that I've cooked, and then I'll put some frozen berries on it and heat it up so they're warm, and
Mm-hmm.
then a little bit of yogurt, which is a little bit cold, but that
Yeah.
has been just super comforting. And I think that's another thing to think about, kind of switching up,
Mm-hmm.
your foods to be a little bit more warm and comforting, and they can still be high in protein and not like crazy unhealthy or anything like that. I do
Mm-hmm.
pre-workout oatmeal, which is really just comforting. And I think that's another thing to also, switch up and try out, because that's helped me a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And seasonal foods, I just bought a ton of citrus because this seems counterintuitive, but citrus is in season in December. That's why
Hmm.
people all eat their little clementines at Christmas. I literally have a
Yeah.
bowl of grapefruit on my counter it made me think, I didn't post it, but it made me think like I love grapefruit the way you love squash because I have 40
Hmm.
grapefruits on my counter right now.
Yeah,
Vitamin
great.
C is a good idea at this time of year.
Hmm.
So I just looked up. So 10 degrees Fahrenheit is minus 12 Celsius. So for us, everywhere else in the world who deal with Celsius,
Hmm.
minus 12, that's cold. I mean, we're not dealing with the final boss of cold yet, but minus 12 is plenty cold. So
Yeah.
that's legit. But again,
And the wind chill too. Like
100%
15 degrees feels like 5.
yes.
Like,
But again, let's see what if minus 5. Yeah. So I was walking around for months in Ottawa at minus 10, minus 15 Fahrenheit. That
okay.
shit is no
It's
joke.
a little bit of hope
It
though.
does make you, and here's what I'm going to tell you. Again, we're just going off on all the
We're
tangents
just
right
talking
now.
about the weather
We're just talking about the weather.
fine.
That's the phase of the podcast that we've reached is the talking about the weather phase. It does make you tougher. Like, again, we can joke about like bro science all you want. There is something to be said about this hormetic stressor thing, about that's why people love getting in cold baths. But living in a place where the weather is perfectly climate controlled to you all the time is great. And we all say we kind of want to live that way, but it can get a little boring and it can get a little
Mhm.
monotonous. And when you have to adjust to rough temperatures, even very hot, very cold, whatever, it does make you a little bit tougher because
Mhm.
you have to be adaptable and you have to be
I
in
agree.
discomfort a lot more. So you can say that too,
I
that it's
agree.
making you a little bit
And
tougher.
speaking of that too, like contrast therapy, going from hot to cold
Mm,
for their hormonic stress. So that's another thing that I've been doing. I've talked a lot about taking advantage of the yoga place I have 2 blocks away. I've been going to yin a lot, yin yoga, but it's in a heated room.
mm,
So it's really hot and sweaty,
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. But when I'm outside, even just walking 2 or 3 blocks there, I'm like, I know I'm going to be in the hot and I look forward to it. And it just
Hmm.
feels so much better coming out of the cold. And
Hmm.
then you kind of get this little contrast in itself when you come out of the hot and then I walk back home and it's a little bit cold.
Yeah.
Um, but there's just something about that. I remember when I was growing up in New York, when it would be pretty cold, I would look forward to, I'd walk home from school and I would just be looking forward to taking a really hot bath,
Mm, hmm.
which is also just another, again, like you don't appreciate it until like it actually, like with the hot bath, but when it's freezing outside, it's 30 times better. So that's
Absolutely.
also another thing. You appreciate some of the little things a little bit more. And I think there's something to that. So,
I love that. All right. Well, we already touched on the second thing, which was try to get outside in the morning.
mhm.
If it's not fun to do maybe when it's cold, but it will pay off a lot more than you give it credit
Mhm.
for. A little quick walk. Maybe you have to walk your dog. Maybe you just go outside and, I don't know, run up and down your driveway a couple times. Just get outside and get some fresh air. It is gonna, and it's, we know that the way schedules and routines work is that when you start off the day well, you're much more likely to continue the day well and vice versa. So again, as difficult as it may be to do some of these things that we're talking about when it's cold and dark, it's going to change your mood. It's going to change the trajectory of your day if you're already setting yourself up. I'm doing these good things for myself. I'm really trying to kickstart like a positive vibe here. That's more important to do, arguably, in the winter than it is in the summer. The next thing, vitamin D supplementation. So, yeah.
That's something that I need to check my vitamin D levels because, you know, moving from, first of all, I need to
Hmm.
get blood work done, but moving from San Diego, right? Like my body was kind of accustomed to that. I was in the sun pretty much every day unless it was a cloudy day. And now it's a lot different. So I'm definitely supplementing, but I'm kind of just guessing right now. And I think
Yeah.
that's one thing to just be mindful of, getting your levels test every year just to see where they're at, because that's going
Hmm.
to tell you, hey, do I need a little bit more? Am I actually getting too much? But yeah, I think vitamin D supplementation is for sure underrated
Yep. Yep.
in these types of climates. So
And just for some of our niche followers who are pregnant, postpartum, breastfeeding, you are getting all of your vitamins and nutrients sucked out of your body quite literally. So you will need extra of this stuff. And babies are usually, it's suggested that they're supplemented with vitamin D, even if you're breastfeeding. So chances are you probably could use a little bit. I think vitamin D, it's pretty hard to overdo it. Like you said, it's smart to get your blood work done. It's smart to know these things, but it's a pretty safe bet that most of us who live in cold places during the winter are going to benefit from vitamin D supplementation.
Yeah.
And
And
the
I would
dose,
say, oh,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Okay, before you go into the dose, I would say also a lot of vitamin D supplements out there now have vitamin D3, K2
Yeah.
together because it helps. Vitamin K helps with the absorption of vitamin D, so you'll see those a lot together. And I do recommend just based off of, I mean, what I've been taking and what I've researched in the past, there's no downfall to
Right.
taking the vitamin D K2. So
Yeah.
that's probably the one I would go for.
Yeah. And I'll just say with the supplementation, because again, we're not going to tell you doses. You need to figure that out for yourself. But
Yeah.
when you buy vitamin D supplements, the range it is quite wide. It can go anywhere from like a couple hundred to like many thousands of IUs a day. So you need to do your own due diligence there. I think, anyway, I'll leave it there. But vitamin D, good idea. Look it up. The next one, I'm going to skip that until the end because I think we stuck that in the middle. It's kind of weird. So let's just continue. Next one, you're going to be really surprised that we suggest this one on our podcast, but we think that exercise will make you feel better. I know. It's a hot take. People will give me a lot of hate for that. But yeah, you should be exercising. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You have anything you want to expand on for that?
Actually, I do want to expand on something that I've done the last month, which has gotten me a little bit outside of my comfort zone.
Cool.
Not tons, but basically I got to a point where I told you my gym was right across the street, right? So I signed up for this gym. It's great. But it was right across the street and I'm kind of like off in like my own area outside of River North. And so a lot of things are right here. Like I work from home. It's a little bit harder. Like I can go to coffee shops, but I want to bring Mia, and like sometimes she's a little bit rambunctious. So I kind of found myself in a spot where I was literally just for a few weeks, I was only in this 3-block
Little
radius.
bubble. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my gym was there, and I found myself like just not like I just didn't want to go to the gym, and I would go to the gym, and obviously other things from a mental perspective were happening. But I ended up pausing my membership there like last month, and there's a Planet Fitness about a 30-minute walk from me.
Oh, okay.
Over on Michigan Ave, but it's obviously the price is a lot lower, and I was going to Costa Rica, so I was like, I'm just gonna pause. I'm not gonna pay like $150 a month for not even for going for like a week. So long story short, I paused my gym membership there, and I've been going to Planet Fitness for the past few weeks. And it forces me to not only walk, so I get my steps in. And
That's hardcore too in the middle of winter. Good for you.
Yeah, so I've been bundling up with that. But I get outside, get my steps in. That was another thing that was, a downfall. I don't have a walking pad yet, and I just like wasn't being proactive. So it forces me to get my steps in. I feel great coming out of it. It just gets me out of my bubble. And that could be another thing too, like just switching up your environment for certain things like that. I like it. A big difference. So I have no idea where I was going with this, but that's something that I don't think I mentioned. And it just kind of.
No, you didn't tell me that you were a Planet Fitness girly now.
Also, Planet Fitness is super underrated. Okay.
It's funny because we've been having this conversation and I've been like, I don't like it, but listen, it doesn't matter. And first of all, there's a wide range in Planet Fitnesses, right? Because it's I guess, North American chain. There's going to be good gyms and bad gyms, 100%. But also there's really no such thing except for in the extreme margins as a good or bad gym. It's a gym that you like or that works for you right now or whatever. It just so happens the one I go to, I find very uninspiring and not great. But that's also on me. At some point, I need to take the initiative to go find something else, right? Like it works for now. I don't love it. I need to find something better. But all that to say, exercise, important, consistency, important. And again, there may be a seasonality, there may be a shift where maybe you are doing less outdoor stuff because it's very cold. maybe you find something else, or you take a class that's indoors, or you like learn a sport that is outdoors and that's fun or whatever. But, and
Mhm.
maybe it's less. Maybe you work out less in the winter than you do in the summer. I always found, again, pre-kids when I actually had time, I worked out more in the winter and I was in better shape in the winter because what else did I have to do? I was just going to the gym and
Mhm.
like taking care of myself.
Yeah.
But it's really, really important to have some consistency in moving your body because at a time when everything else is primed to kind of make you feel like crap and low and like you don't want to do anything, moving your body does the opposite of that, right? So it's very
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, and it's also the thing that we talk about too, just like taking the first step. Like there's
Hmm.
some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to walk all the way there. And then I'm like, wait, no, I did this. I made myself, I put myself in this situation for a reason. So I remind myself of that. But
Hmm.
then I'm like, there's some days where I'm like, oh, I'll just walk there and see how I feel, you know?
Hmm.
And every time I do that, by the time I get there, I'm like, oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So it's like just taking that step, put your shoes on, get outside the door. You can turn around in 10 minutes if you're really struggling, but like the first step of just taking action, right? Action precedes motivation.
Hmm. Yep.
Yes. Sorry, I
Love
was
it.
like, wait.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Next thing, sleep and maintaining some consistency around sleep. And you're already laughing at me because guess who
I'm
wasn't
laughing
getting
at
it?
myself. I'm laughing
Well,
at both of us.
I guess both of us. That's been an ongoing joke
But
between you and I
you
that
for
we're not
sure.
sleeping, but you're doing it, you know, in a way that exercises free will, and I'm doing it like kicking and screaming because I want to be sleeping, and you're choosing not to sleep. Either way, we're
Yeah.
both tired. And it's funny because I just wrote a Substack post about this. FYI, folks who are
You
listening,
did.
we have a Substack now, Muscle Science for Women on Substack. You can have a free subscription, or if you've always been thinking of, I just want to give these ladies money because they're so wonderful and they provide so much information. And I was just wanting to find a non weird way to give them some money. You could subscribe, you could do a paid subscription, and you'll get all of our behind the paywall goodies and
Mhm.
support us. So we encourage that. And we'll put a link in the show notes so
Yeah.
you can join our Substack. We'll be growing that in 2026. Excited. What I
Yeah.
was saying
You've
was
already
I
started crushing it.
that's right. So I wrote an article
Yeah.
about something I kind of changed my mind about. I'm not going to get into it here because we're going to get off topic again, but I've changed my views on the sleep workout equation. And you have to listen or you have to read the article to know what I'm talking about
Mhm.
there. But going back to this, getting sleep always important, but I think there's something about a consistency as much as you can that is also very good for mental health, which is what we're talking about. Um, and you know the usual like don't scroll on Instagram for 4 hours before bed, yada yada. You know the
Mhm.
drill. It's
Or if you're
just
gonna do that, make sure you got those blue light blockers on.
right.
I
Yeah.
recommend the really like the red ones,
Mm-hmm.
especially at night. The ones
Mm-hmm.
that you look like an alien, but they
But
work.
make it hot. Um, Here's my question for you though, because you again, you've been doing some like staying up late, but for fun, whatever. But when you're
Yeah.
not doing that, are you're pretty consistent with your like what time you go to sleep and what time you wake up, right? Generally?
So, yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Like these past since June, I've struggled with sleep
Yeah.
way more than I used to.
Yeah.
And I mentioned before, like on a podcast, I think we recorded in the summer when I was like in that transition period in New York. I was, I got prescribed Xanax
Hmm.
because there was like literally nothing that was allowing me to sleep, and that was like the only thing in a small dose. And kind of, with the move and settling into Chicago, like I was trying to not use it, and I was doing pretty good. Um, and then I kind of got back into a cycle, like when I was during those few weeks when I got back from San Diego, I was just like super anxious and my mind just could not shut off. So I kind of brought it back in. And then I was like, I don't I don't want to be relying on this. So that's when I implemented my more of a nighttime routine, more strict. It fluctuated and I'm not perfect, but
Hmm.
I do know like the nights that I do my nighttime routine and force myself to do it, it absolutely helps.
Hmm.
But there is definitely, you know, with Xanax, it's something that you can become dependent on
Yeah.
because it's
It
a
works.
ben. Oh my gosh, I forgot the word.
Benzodiazepine?
Whatever. Yes, something like that. I forgot. So anyways, I've actually been seeing a psychiatrist who is helping me just like kind of take that out of the mix,
Mm-hmm.
and has been so I've been like utilizing, not every night, but the nights where my brain just doesn't shut off and I end up just up till like 3 a.m. laying in bed. I've been testing out other medicines that are not, or prescriptions that are not dependent, and then using that to kind of wean off and then hopefully
Yeah.
wean off for good. But I'm sharing this because first of all, I said I was going to get a little bit more vulnerable getting into 2026 and sharing more openly about all these things. And I know a lot of people out there struggle with sleep, and they do
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they do tend to use other like over the counter sleep aids like
Mm-hmm.
Unisum and stuff like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that at one point for a little bit. It should be used only for a short term, and there's reasons why you shouldn't use it long term because there can be a lot of side effects to that. So just because this is just, I'm not a doctor, but just because it's an over the counter and you can buy it without a prescription doesn't mean that you should be taking it
Yeah.
consistently, because you get accustomed to it and then
Mm-hmm.
you can't sleep and then you take more, and it's just not a good thing. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I just went completely off on a rant, but I just wanted to say that because I know like some people
Yes.
listening to the podcast probably have been in some type of cycle like that
Mm-hmm.
potentially at some point, and it's hard, and it's you know you need to get a little bit of help if you're
Yep.
feeling like it's
Yep.
becoming too much. So
I
with that being
wonder,
said, I don't remember what we were talking about.
have we, I feel like way back in the day when it was just me, I might have done an episode on sleep, but I don't think you and I like, have we? Does that ring a bell? Because maybe we need to add
I
that to
think
the
we just
list.
talk about it all the time, but
Yeah,
yeah.
so maybe we should do like a full episode because there's a lot we can unpack there.
Yeah, there's so many different things with sleep that you can,
There's a lot of
again,
levers.
there's a lot of levers. And I think one thing too is like, and I find myself reminding myself of this too, like I know the nights that I do my routine and I brain dump and I listen to a meditation and I relax my brain and get things out of my head, those are the nights that I feel great. But there's some nights where I'm just like being lazy and like I just don't do it, and I kick myself in the butt after because I'm like, I know if I did it, and I know people struggle with like that too.
Hmm.
It's just, oh, I could do this 20 to 30-minute sleep routine, or I can scroll on Instagram
Yeah.
and get that dopamine hit quick.
Yep.
It's and so you have to keep kind of fighting it because the easy thing is to scroll on Instagram and hope you get tired enough to pass out. But
Okay, I just have
usually
another
that
idea
doesn't.
for a podcast we're going to talk about offline, but
Okay, cool.
cool. Okay, so bringing it back again to
Sorry
to
for the
what we're
tangent.
talking about, which is the seasonal depression. So the other thing is all of these things we're talking about that help with seasonal depression will also they all because they're interconnected, they will also help with sleep. When you're doing all these other things, you'll probably have an easier time sleeping. When you work on your sleep, you'll probably have an easier time consistently working out, et cetera, et cetera. So the thing that I always go back to with all of the stuff we talk about, especially when we go down like deep rabbit holes of like hyper specific things, like just did an episode talking about thyroid health with L.
Mm-hmm.
Russ, right? It gets very technical. It can get very overwhelming. But again, if you bring it back to like basic principles, like yes, some people are going to need a doctor prescription. Some people are going to need diagnoses. Some people are going to need whatever. But the vast majority of us can get most of the way there with these consistent same things we hammer about over and over again. So
Mm-hmm.
in a way it's like, okay, that's annoying, we've heard it before, but it's also it should be kind of calming and empowering to people listening that it's just like you already know. We're telling you here,
Mm-hmm.
we're reminding you, but you already know. You just
Yeah.
got to be willing to do it and do it consistently for a long time.
Yeah. And I'm gonna just add one more thing too. There is, just like with exercise and nutrition and being accountable to that, this is another thing too. I have held a lot of my clients accountable to sleep routines, and having that accountability, just like anything else, is way, way easier to actually get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Right now I've taken a break from my coach. It's something I'm going to start up in the new year, but I'm not being held accountable by anyone to do my
Mm-hmm.
sleep routine,
Mm-hmm.
which I know is something that also causes me to not do it some nights. But if
Yeah.
I have to answer to somebody, if I have to check that box and then know that they're going to look at that in my check-in,
Yeah.
it's a whole different game. So that's another piece of it too. Like accountability is not just for hitting your macros or getting your workouts in. Like there's a lot more to it with like the overall lifestyle stuff. So
Yep. And we offer
yeah.
coaching and
Yep.
programs, and we've got all that going on.
Yeah,
So
we
just
got all that
FYI.
stuff. Muscle Science
Just
for
FYI.
Women.com,
There you go.
FOR, not number
Everything's in
four.
there. What?
We
What's
should probably
FOR?
mention that too. So our our website is musclescienceforwomen.com, but it's
Yeah.
not the number four for the website.
Oh,
It is the number
yeah.
four for our
Good
Gmail,
call.
musclescienceforwomen@gmail.com is our email right now. We're in a transition period. We're gonna get it all, you know,
But yeah, you know what our
leveled out.
email is
But
and you know what our website is, and it's all in the show notes. So just,
yeah.
just check us out and buy a
And just
program
message us on Instagram if you need
or
help
that.
buying our stuff.
Yeah, if you need help buying our stuff, we'll send you a link. No problem.
Or if
We're
just kidding. If you
we'll
have
do that
questions
real
and
quick.
all
No, also not kidding. We will send you that link. Okay. Continuing. Next thing that you should do to help minimize seasonal depression, eat a good diet,
Mhm.
nutrient dense, anti-inflammatory. Apparently, this kind of depressive period has an inflammatory component to it, as does when you do anything that's sort of like negative for your health in any way. If you're not getting
Mhm.
good sleep, if you're, sitting on your couch all day scrolling Instagram instead of working out, all of these things are inflammatory. Eating, crappy food, drinking too much, whatever. It's all pro-inflammatory. Everything bad has an inflammatory aspect to it. So let's try to take it down a notch by eating real nutrient dense food. Another thing, too, is when you're having like sleep issues, when it's dark all the time, when you're depressed, guess what you crave? Not, salmon and squash. You crave whatever, sugar, junk
Mhm.
food, comfort foods. So the more you can get that base of really like nutritious, good, filling, satiating foods, the less you're going to be running to the I just need to feel good for a second food. So, you know what it is. Protein,
Have you had
vegetables.
have you done any of the Element hot chocolate or protein hot
Oh,
chocolate
you
before?
know I have. But you know what I'll
Yeah.
say? My favorite one, it was like a seasonal thing that they only did once, and I don't, or maybe not once, but they stopped doing it, and I don't know why, because it had to have been their most popular one. Do you remember the chocolate caramel?
They still have that. I
I've
I
never
do
seen
I
it.
drink it every night.
They have
It's on
never.
their website.
Are you sure? Is it on its
Yeah, I
own?
ordered huh?
Because they never, the like chocolate pack of all the different flavors. It's
Yeah.
always chocolate, mint,
Uh
chai, and that's it.
yeah.
I'm like, hello, chocolate caramel is the best
Yeah.
one. Okay, I
They
only
have
take
it
what they
back.
send me, so maybe I
Oh
should.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I've ordered like I'll do the chocolate sea salt and the chocolate caramel and I
the
put the
sea salt's
chocolate
the
caramel.
best one. The
But
sea
I
salt
like
caramel's the best
caramel's
one.
my favorite. Oh yeah, sea
Yes.
salt caramel.
I
Yes.
do like the mint one. I'll put the mint one in my coffee because I
Mhm.
like a chocolatey minty coffee. You don't like mint, right? Have we had this
I don't like
conversation?
mint when it's like mixed with anything else or like a food. I
Okay.
only like it like in my toothpaste or mint
Toothpaste,
or like an
yeah.
actual mint.
Okay, let us know in the
Anyways.
comments
Mhm.
right now if you're listening on Spotify. Are you chocolate mint? Are you food mint? Or are you toothpaste mint only? I like them both personally. I like a chocolate mint, but I get it. I get that it can
Yeah.
feel kind of like medicinal and you don't want to eat it. Okay,
Mhm.
long story short, you were saying element good
Yes, Element,
for the
and I've been
winter?
mixing Element. I do a half packet of, and I was just telling my client this yesterday because she was like, I was like, what's something like you're struggling with right now? And she was like, I just feel like with it's dark and it's cold, I just want to cuddle up on the couch. And I end up going for the, whoops, going for the chocolate and it's just
Mm-hmm.
comforting. And I was like, have you ever tried a protein hot chocolate? And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
no. So I told her all about this. And it's just what I do is a half a packet of Element chocolate caramel and I mix it with like just maybe a quarter scoop or even an eighth a scoop of the Legion cinnamon cereal plant
Mm-hmm.
protein or the
Mm-hmm.
salted caramel plant protein. And the reason it's plant protein is because that one just mixes really well. I've tried the whey before with the hot chocolate and it just doesn't mix very well. And that is so good. And it's basically like not that many calories because it's just the calories coming from the protein powder. So if you're low on protein, you can hit your protein at night and it tastes like an amazing hot chocolate.
Mm,
Um,
very good.
and it just kind of gives you that comfort chocolate, you know, deliciousness
Mm-hmm.
and helps, if you're, helps curb that need for maybe stuff. And there's nothing wrong with having chocolate or sweet treat at night, but if you're keep going for that and you know that you've had enough, this might be
Mm-hmm.
a good
Yep.
little trick to bring in. So,
Yep. Another thing to help with inflammation, because one of the big issues sort of in the modern Western diet, and this is something I deal with in my other job. I work for the Primal Health Coach Institute. That's another story for another time. But working on their course and nutrition stuff, like one of the big issues with the modern diet is this sort of imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3, right? I'm sure anybody who's listening has heard about this. They're both important, they're both necessary, they're both in a lot of our food. It's just that in an ideal scenario, we're looking at like a, maybe 3 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. And the average kind of standard American diet is like 20 to 1. Like we're just getting way too many omega-6s, and it creates an inflammatory kind of situation. So that's why, I mean, again, in an ideal world, you eat healthy foods that are high in omega-3s, like walnuts and salmon and stuff like that. But you may also look towards supplementation because it's hard to get the perfect combination in our food. A lot of people do supplement with omega-3s. And this might seem like we're talking about a lot of supplements. Again, you can take it or leave it, whatever. I do actually find that in the winter, I tend to supplement a little bit more because, again, I'm just trying to hedge my bets. I'm just trying to like boost things where I can. So I have actually been taking omega-3s lately because I've just been feeling like I'm feeling more inflamed. I'm feeling like I need the extra help. So that's something, again, along with the vitamin D, along with the magnesium, which everyone should be taking. Like it is maybe something to think about, but it's also worth just doing an audit of your diet too. And if you're eating a lot of oily fish, if you're eating a lot of green veggies, if you're eating like nuts and seeds, you're not eating a lot of processed food. Again, the debate too is that like some people think seed oils are, just the worst thing in the world and they're going to kill you immediately. And some people are like, actually, it's fine. It's really just that it's sort of a correlation causation thing where most highly processed foods tend to have a lot of seed oils. It's not necessarily that high quality, like well produced, like organic walnut oil or whatever. Like they're not bad in themselves. It's that if you're eating a ton of fried food, a ton of processed packaged foods, they have, seed oils in them. And so again, it's this imbalance thing that's happening. So if you're minimizing processed food, if you're maximizing just like whole, healthy, nutritious, healthy fats, whatever, that's going to help a lot. But omega-3 supplementation may be something you want to look at too.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely if we'll do a sleep episode, there's also different like sleep cocktails that in terms of adding some supplements. I'm not going to get into that now, but that's something that will add into like my hot chocolate. Like
yeah, let's definitely talk about that because I
Yeah.
love a sleep cocktail, and it's not back in the day, but that meant was whiskey. And now it means like special mushrooms. Anyway, okay. Continuing on. We're at number 8 for what to do for seasonal depression. And this is one that you have been dealing with a lot. I have been dealing with less well, but we're talking stress management and mindfulness.
Yeah.
You've really upped your game in the kind of meditation mindfulness thing recently.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of touched on this already, but just being able to the biggest thing for me, and I know this is like the sleep part is 90% mental for me, and it's just because my mind just goes and goes and goes, and like I'm sure you have this too. It's just like shutting that off, and people talk about your brain is kind of on a loop, right? And if you don't close those loops at the end of the day, it can really affect, especially if you have like a big to-do list the next day and now you're just like thinking about all the things and you don't get them out of your head and on paper, you're just going to continue to be in that cycle. So honestly, a simple brain dump, I think, has been one of the most, even if you don't want to do all the meditation and all that stuff, just having a notebook by your bed with a pen and at least like setting a timer for 5 to 10 minutes when you get in bed to just get whatever's in there out. It doesn't have to make sense. No one else is going to see it. Like for me, half of it you can't even read because I'm just like scribbling because I have like a red light on, but I'm getting it out of my head. I'm saying things out loud sometimes. Some of the that's another thing too. Like some of the emotions that I'm feeling, I will like say them out loud while I write them. I'm like, I'm feeling this, this, and this. And you name that emotion, right? It's called labeling. You name the emotion you're feeling and you say it out loud and you also write it down. And it's wild how that just gives you a sense of relief. So that's one thing that I've been leaning a lot more into. And then just writing things down. And sometimes I'll write for 10 minutes and I'll be like, I'm sleepy. And I'll, turn the light off. And then 10 minutes later, I like think of something and I'm like, oh, I have to do this thing tomorrow. And I'll take the notebook and I'll write it down. Like I'll put
Mm.
my flashlight on and I'll write it down. And that's something too. Like if you continue to spin in your head, like just write it down. You'll notice a big difference in the way that you feel from like an anxiety
Mm.
perspective. So if that's one thing I would recommend, it would be first thing is just do a simple brain dump for
Hmm.
yourself.
I like that concept of like labeling too, because it is something about the thing you don't talk about, the thing you won't mention or externalize. It's the thing that's going to fester and get bigger and darker and
Mhm.
scarier inside. And that's definitely something I struggle with because I'm like an internal processor slash
Yeah.
internally don't process. But when you actually get it out, it's almost always less scary, or at least there's the relief of saying it or
Hmm.
labeling it. So I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Like I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling um like just any emotion.
Hmm.
Like
Or I'm
it's generally
scared
just
that this is
I'm
going to
scared.
happen.
Yeah,
Anything, whatever,
exactly.
just saying it actually releases some of the power that it
Hmm.
has. It's really
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
exactly.
The next one is one you also have kind of talked about, but
Yeah.
that's important in the winter is the social connection, actually going out of your house and doing things and interacting with people. That's another one I don't always love to do.
Mhm.
So, that's really smart. And I'll just again say for those of us with small children, it's even harder because like I want to do so. Here's a good example actually. Tomorrow, this is why we're recording on a different day. I don't know if I told you this, but it's my one of my best friends' birthdays, and we are spending the afternoon at one of these like Nordique spas, like the outdoor spas where you're in the hot tub and then the
Oh,
cold and the
nice.
hot and you're like whatever playing around. And it's kind of far away and there's a bit of a drive. And like I have so much anxiety about leaving my family for like basically a work day, like from mid morning to like bedtime. I know they'll be fine. I know that Alex is fully capable of keeping our children alive, but like I feel like it's this whole thing for me. I can't just be like, yeah, let's go have fun. Let's like go party. I have to like
Yeah.
make sure everything's okay. And then I have to like be stressed about it and whatever. Even when people are like, don't be stressed about it. You can have a couple hours and go have fun. It's like more of a thing. And so when it's more of a
Mhm.
thing and we have to like make sure everything's okay and we're going to feel a little bit guilty or a little bit stressed, is it even worth doing? And then we don't do it. And then I don't do anything all winter. It's that thing. So for those of us who have, other sticking points that are keeping us from being social and having a good time, like you gotta force it, like really force it. Literally yesterday, I was like, you know what? I don't know. The weather's kind of bad. Like maybe I just shouldn't go, whatever. And I talked to my girlfriend and I talked to Alex and they're like, just go do it. Just go do it. It's going to
Mhm.
be fine. I'm like, okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
I know it's going to be great. I get to go sit in a hot tub with my friend and talk shit for like 4 hours. It's going to
Yeah.
be great.
I love
But
that for you.
making myself do it is actually a lot harder than, and you see how that can happen. And it sets this wheel in motion where you're not doing anything for yourself and you're not connecting with people who make you feel good and all of that. So
Yeah.
go do it.
Sure. Well, I'm proud of you for
Thank you.
doing it, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah. It's going to be great. I'll let you know. I don't know what bathing suit I'm going to wear. That's a whole other stress point, but let's talk about that
Oh,
after.
who cares?
Anyway, I'm going and it's going to be great.
You're going.
Yes. So, do you have anything else you want to add to that social connection? Do it.
No, I think I
Hmm.
rambled about that enough
Great.
here.
The last two that kind of combine together is something we'll just very briefly,
Hmm.
because this isn't our area of expertise, but therapy and possibly medication are sort of, again, the maybe once you've tried all these other things, you've worked on this other stuff. If you're still struggling, if it feels like something that isn't quote unquote normal, winter sads, there are other steps you can take. There are other things you can do. We might be the only podcast on the planet that isn't sponsored by BetterHelp. I mean, everybody knows what BetterHelp is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can literally text a therapist now. Like, if you just feel like eating well and journaling is not cutting it, maybe you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need to get some extra help, and maybe there's some medication. Maybe there's some chemical
Hmm.
stuff that could benefit you. That's not for us to say, but it exists
Yeah.
and it's out there, and you can look into it, and there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's definitely, things that there's all different types of things out there, but talking with someone and getting that out. And then if you know, explore the medication on, I would definitely say like last resort, because the things that because it's like kind of, you know, they're not a quick fix, but there are some nights where I'm like, I
Yeah.
could take my Xanax and go right to sleep, or I could do my whole nighttime routine, and I know that will make me feel better in the long run. But sometimes not just the seasonal depression, but the other depression and the other ruminating and anxiety and all that stuff, can be a little bit too much. But I would say over the long term, going more of like the natural route and like figuring out your routine and like actually not allowing yourself to get into the doom scrolling and continue doing that, you're just going to be so much better off. If you and if you need to, like, combining those things, right? Like, you can always use different tools at different times. But yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to get too far into it, but I've definitely
I mean, I don't think it's
experienced a
too
lot of
controversial to say that about, again, anything. Like, it's not, we don't know what your situation is. We don't know if you would benefit from medication or not, the same way we can't tell somebody if they should be on a GLP-1 or not, whatever. But I do think that it's a pretty decent piece of blanket advice to say that if you haven't done all the lifestyle stuff first, you're really kind of missing the forest for the trees here. Like, do the stuff that you should be doing regardless, no matter who you are, no matter what your situation is. See how far you can get with that and really, really try. And then you see what's next, It's
just like with any of the quick fixes that you ever use in life, no matter what it's related to, there's always going to be a side effect to it. And if you don't have the other things figured out, you're just going to continue in that cycle.
All right. Well, we've cured seasonal depression. So congratulations to us. No one's ever going to have a problem ever again. This is our last episode, I believe, of 2025. So to everybody who's been listening, who's here for us, who's supporting us, who's taken our programs, we appreciate you. Bigger and better things for all of us in 2026. Very excited. And I will say, I think we really missed the ball somehow, both you and I, planning trips to Costa Rica within a few weeks of each other. So we've really got to get on board with that next year. If you have a good time there, we're just going to make sure that those trips overlap next time.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, to everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourself. Don't go nuts. Don't let your families drive you crazy.
Oh, yes, that. If 2025 was a tough year for you, you're not alone. We feel you. We're here, and we're excited to bring some new and more exciting, maybe a little
positivity,
bit less craziness into 2026.
Let's do that. Let's manifest it.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Until next year, don't be insane.
Don't do
we love you. Bye.